Our final guest is Nayan Peshkar, who's the Senior Vice President of Digital Distribution and Revenue Strategy at Millennium Hotels. That's a long title. How'd you get that on a business card? Come on up. Welcome.
Thank you.
So tell us a bit more about yourself and your role at Millennium.
First, thank you, Becky and Ru, for inviting me into this conversation. I'm Nayan. I head Digital Distribution and Revenue Strategy. As you said, a very long title and lots of stuff to do there too. With Millennium Hotels and Resorts. For those of you that don't know about Millennium Hotels, we own and operate 120 hotels in 20 countries. It's a fairly large-sized company. We have 10,000 plus team members. We generate £1 billion of revenue, and we are listed on the stock exchange in London, as an example. And I'm part of the commercial and marketing team that is ultimately responsible for acquisition, engagement, and retention of customers. And that transcends the full play. So essentially, it's not just about digital, it's also about the offline part. We had a speaker earlier on from Baines who was talking about the importance of offline. So we are very focused on online, yes, but also offline to online and also offline. So it covers the whole spectrum.
Interesting. And we've obviously had the theme of data this morning.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a dry theme. Glad we didn't put that on the agenda as the main thing. We're going to talk about data for 2 days. What's your view on the hospitality industry as a whole and how they've dealt with data in the past?
So I'll be entirely honest about this because it's been a journey for us. And some of you who are in hotels, particularly if you own and manage hotels or franchise management less so, but if you own and manage hotels, this would resonate. Hospitality and data, tortured relationship. I think we are not naturally known to be digital natives or early adopters of technology, and the impact on data is a detrimental impact on quality of data. So if I was to look at the 3 big things that stood out for us when we started on this journey a few years back was quality of data was not so good. The data what we had was in silos. The silos didn't talk to each other. We certainly lack the ability and technology to be able to extract value from this data. So these were some of the challenges that we encountered at the beginning. The 2007-8 recession made a few things clear to us. The relationship between our guests and us was changing fundamentally. OTAs were on the rise, and we saw that they had a better handle on data. They were utilizing the customer information to extract higher market share. For me, as an owner-operator of hotels, it means higher cost of acquisition. So not a very sustainable model in the long term. We were discussing earlier that we've been in business for 40 years, and we were starting to question whether the next 40 years this model would be sustainable. But we've come a long way from there. We looked at our primary sources of data, the property management system, central reservation system, content management systems. We've standardized platforms, we've standardized data quality, trained our frontline resources in understanding the value of quality data. We've invested a lot in getting ahead of our own curve, not the industry curve, but certainly our own limited curve, using partnerships with Google and certainly TravelClick to get there. And we've also spoken to our secondary data sources, OTAs, not to be ignored. They have a lion's share of the market when it comes to visibility. We've spoken to our OTA partners and used some of their data to enrich our own data pods. And also, when we introduce new technology into our businesses, we're getting smarter at what we do when it comes to in-room automation or, let's say, new check-in, check-out systems that some of you have interacted with. We made sure that we are not building new silos that would complicate the issue, take us back to where we started. So we've come a long way, up and down journey, but still happy where we are.
So you've been on a real journey, you've just talked about that. What's the one piece of advice? Like, what did you learn? If you could have your time again and you could do something differently, what did you learn?
Yeah, you know what? I mean, this would resonate with some of us in the room too. And I'll purely speak from experience. I think a few takeaways for us 8 years down in that journey were, I think the management's understanding of what requires to be done in the data sphere should be clear from the outset. The investments in data are not, they don't have short gestation periods. I think it takes a lot to extract the value. We have to stay the course, and everybody has to start somewhere. Scale is not a challenge. Scale just requires different solutions. So if you have a smaller business or a larger business, don't be afraid, get started. We try to figure out our place in the world. And partners, there are plenty of partners in the field. TravelClick has got some brilliant products that helped us. We don't exclusively use TravelClick. We only use 2 of their products in our ecosystem, but we use them quite well. So it's a question of how you use these products. And certainly Google and the wealth of data that comes with partnering with folks at Google helped us get on this journey. By the way, we actively use Google to push our agenda in the company. Ru speaks at our conferences. Ed, I think Ed is somewhere here. Shout out to Ed at the corner there.
Skulking at the back.
He engages with us quite well when it comes to the digital side of data. And that brings me to the third point, is it's what I call the digital data's own goal. You know, olden days, few years back, when we had limited channels, it was easy to put an ROS on every channel and get proper return on investment pitch out to the management, everybody is happy. That's not the case anymore. When you look at social channels or when you look at new engagement opportunities, let's say YouTube ads, ROS is not very clear at this moment. I think it's down to attribution being extremely complicated. Someone said that 100 touch points over 5 devices before somebody makes a booking. So much effort goes into this. It's complicated. Explain this to the management as we did, get them on side because this requires everybody together. Data is important. It's like Eric said, lifeblood of our business. Just the way you believe that data is driving Google's decision making, it absolutely is a big part of our life.